Good morning. Today is the 2nd of May 2024 and I'm going to go through my pre-market plan and levels I'm watching today. Before we start, we look at the news calendar to see what is going on today, to see what could be moving the market. So we had initial jobless claims at 8:30. We saw a bit of a reaction to that and it's kind of giving it back again. A bit like FOMC yesterday, which we'll talk about in a second. We got news at 10 AM, so factory orders, and then we've got not much afterwards, nothing which could move the market. Maybe keep an eye on the auctions. So basically 10 AM is the next time we could see some market movement through news. And obviously yesterday we had FOMC and we saw this big reaction and then it gave it all back, and we're kind of pulled back a bit today and we're kind of sitting there, so it kind of leads me to my levels. However, look at the levels from yesterday we had. So we had this bottom level, which touched it and never came back down. And we had this level at the top here at 51.28, and FOMC came right up into that area. I was tempted to trade yesterday, especially when, let's go into the 5 minute, especially just before FOMC, when you could see this pattern setting up. Let's open up my pen, and it wasn't part of my plan, so I didn't take it because it didn't get to a level, but you can clearly see we had this pattern setting up and then the break and retest long. So it's a perfect pattern, and I was probably about there and I was watching this area here thinking, oh, I should go long now, and then I drew the trend line in and you can clearly see where the shorts were, and then I chose not to. So yesterday was it was a day of patience, and I was really waiting for it to get into my level here or to get up to here, but before FOMC, and it never did. So I just sat out, I watched the market, I studied it, I even identified the correct trades, and this one here in particular, this break, and I knew it was going to break out just there because we're in the top half. We'll talk about this quite a lot in the videos. We're in the top half of the range, and then we see volume coming in as well, and then we broke out and then we pulled back. But this is too close to FOMC and I wasn't really interested in trading, so, but it would have been, maybe I could probably, what time was that? Just after FOMC. Yeah, so that's the FOMC reaction down there. It's potentially a long trade, but wasn't for me. I just sat out, I just watched the action, and you can see we gave it all back as well straight afterwards. So pretty uneventful for me, but practicing a day of patience. Right, so let's go through some levels. Pretty much not too dissimilar to what we had yesterday. So I'm watching this area down here again. The reason I like this area is an area of confluence. We've got bottoms of candles, tops of candles, bottoms of candles, in an area of demand as well. And we came in, we touched it yesterday in the pre-market, and we haven't quite got back down there yet. So I'm watching this area for a bounce. And I say area because I'll be looking at yesterday's low and the actual pre-market low as well. Knowing also this is an area of demand as well, so we could even push down a bit further if we can get into that. Another I'm watching for a bounce is 50.10 down to 5,000. Psychological number and a weekly level as well, and area of confluence as well. And then obviously we got the 5,000 level to watch. So that's kind of that area I'm watching. Getting closer to where we are now. I still quite like the break and retest of the pre-market high. We'll be breaking and retesting this 200 moving average, which is this purple line, which is starting to curve around now, and if we can break and hold above that area, I'll be looking for a long, and that'll be around 50.90. we've got a natural level at 5100. Potentially that could be a rejection. Kind of an area of confluence as well. We can watch for rejection there as well, and if we're long, then it could be a target place as well. If we do break over this 5100 area, then we've got 5130, which we came close to yesterday, and it's an area of confluence. Got tops of pivots, bottoms of pivots, spiked it there, consolidated there, and yesterday we came into it. So we know that's an area we can watch as well for a rejection up here. So that's really my levels, quite straightforward really. So I've got a rejection, a break and retest long, and then pre-market low. Potentially we could watch this area for a bounce as well. We've got tops or pivots there, bottoms of pivots over here, tops of candles. Let's just put that level in, see what we have. Pre-market low, and you can see we've got tops of candles, tops of this consolidation, bottoms. Yes, I like a bounce at the pre-market low area, which is 50.66, and if we do break that, we can look for maybe a break and retest short as well, coming back down into this area. So the volume point of control is currently sitting around this area, so 50.60. So this area could also act as a natural bounce area. We can watch out. I think we talked about that area yesterday as well. So I'm going to put another level there as well, because obviously when I move, the point of control changes. And interesting, as I zoom out, we've got a point of control up at 5100 as well. So that's why I like that area for rejection as well. Okay, so that's it really. I'm going to tidy up these charts a little bit at the weekend. So moving on to SPY next. Going back to ES, sorry. Something to note. We are in this hourly uptrend at the moment. So let's get rid of that trend there. I can probably move it actually. About there. Not quite sure. Maybe use that pivot there. That's kind of gives us a few more touches. So we're in this uptrend, so if we do break down, then we've got this as a guide. So yesterday's low could be a potential break and retest short. And one thing I'm noticing as well potentially is this head and shoulders pattern could be forming. Could you say that FOMC is a shoulder, or are we going to form an actual shoulder? Maybe we can just ignore that as a blip. But we could also watch for this formation as well. So kind of come up into the reject area we just talked about and back down. And we've got a neckline, which is this trend line. So it's not a flat neckline, it's kind of at an angle. But we can use this as a break and retest area as well, if we do form that neckline. One thing I do want to do is look at the daily and the volume as well. So we were selling off, and then we had a below average volume for this pullback. We had increasing volume on the sell-off again, and even yesterday, look at that volume. I know we have FOMC as well, topping tail candle as well, and with increased volume, showing that there's strength in the sellers. And topping tail candle is just prefer to see the candle up here somewhere, you know, poke through and come back down. But there's definitely strength in the sellers at the moment, and we'll see where we are. We've broken. Let's just draw some lines in. Kind of had this trend line in place, this kind of bear flag, and we have broken it. So we could come back up and retest that area as well. So let's take a look at that. So we kind of broke through and coming back up into that area. We can watch for the short rejection, and that'll probably be around the area we're watching. So the retest area 50.91. Let's go back into hourly. 50.99, 50.90. So this area here could be a retest of that trend line. And I think that's it really. That's the only areas to watch. So let's just go to SPY. Exactly the same as before. So we've got some defined levels. We've got 500. Look at that. We couldn't break down through that, so we can watch it as a bounce. Yesterday's low. If we do get back down to 500 and it holds it, we can watch it for a break and retest. Look for a short. If it holds it, we can look for a bounce. If it doesn't hold it, we'll watch it for a break and retest of the 500 area. And we poked through once, came back up, big reaction. We'll see what happens next time. And then I do quite like the rejections around 506 area to 507, this area here. And the reason I like it, it's got bottoms of pivots, bottoms of this pullback, tops of this push up, and we've got it's an area of confidence, and we've got volume in that area as well. So we've got this volume shelf, sitting there as well, which can act as natural resistance. It's kind of up in that area. So I'm watching 506 to 507 for rejection, and then for bounces 500 or 499.95, and then we can watch the bounce in this zone here, this area, and then down in this area as well. Next is NQ. Okay, you can see this trend holding. We need to see whether we're going to put in a new high like the others, kind of potentially putting in a head and shoulders pattern, left shoulder, head. I'm not going to take that as a right shoulder. Hopefully it forms a better shoulder like the previous one. And we've got the neckline coming up as well at that angle. So we can watch this area as well for rejection. Same levels as yesterday, 17,700, 17,732. And then we can also watch for bounce around yesterday's low area. And in theory that would have formed the neckline. And it's either going to go up or break it and come back down. So let's put a level in. I like that area there. The reason I like it is lots of touches of candles, bodies of candles, there's touches there, touches here. So 17,412, and then into this area of demand down here. We've got two areas of demand. This area here, 17,360, and we've got this area of demand here as well, which is 17,163. Okay, so that's it really. That's what I'm watching. QQQ games, kind of putting in this trend. We need to see what happens. So I like, look at that. So these levels were from yesterday, and FOMC came right up to the level I was watching, 430.23. Hopefully somebody took that rejection. Again, I like that area for another rejection. The left, I'm going to call this a left shoulder because it looks like it's setting up a left shoulder. Left shoulder came into it, 430. Put the head in, and now hopefully we're going to come back up and reject. But we are kind of breaking a bit of a pre-market trend at the moment. This trend line coming up, it's breaking down, so maybe this is the shoulder, but we'll see. Bounce wise, not a big fan of that area anymore. I think the best I prefer will be there. The reason I like that area, we've got bottom of this area, big move afterwards, bottoms of candles, tops of candles, and then bottoms of this pivot here as well. Not much volume down in this area for recent trades. Not much really for previous trades. Bit of area confluence. So not brilliant. So basically 430 rejection, and lots of a bounce at 419 down to 418. Okay, next is SPX. I'll be watching SPX closely. 5,000 could be coming into play. If we get down to this area, I'll be looking for a bounce. Got an alert in place to let me know when it gets close to that area. So 505, 5,005 is my alert. And then we can also watch what we were just talking about. This area up here to form the right shoulder, 5080 to 5100. And then we've got this area of demand. If we can break down through 5,000, then we got 4967 to 4974 bounce. But 5,000 is the area I'm watching. If it comes down there and we see it reverse, I'll be looking to go long on ES. And that area on ES seems slow today trading for you, is around about this trend line area by the looks of it. Or is it? No, I think it's a bit further down. This level we're watching, 50.38. So I'll be keeping an eye on it. If it's coming into my level as well. If it's broken the level, I don't really want to go long because I'll be going long into potential resistance. But if it's above that level, when it starts reversing, SPX starts reversing, I'll be looking to go long as well. Okay, next up is crude oil. Let's get rid of the trend. Get rid of that trend, that's now gone. So we're in this downtrend now. And the only bounce area I can see is probably what we've got marked off. Where we are right now actually is an area that's not as great as this area down here. Not only do we have a level confluence, we also have this volume profile shelf setting up. So I do quite like a bounce if we get into this area, 77.54 for a bounce. This area, You can see there's quite a lot of touches of this area, and we've got the point of control in that area as well. So big area of volume, and a big area of volume could be this entire area here. So basically 77 to 77.50 for a bounce. Rejection, quite clearly we can watch 80, 90 or $81, this area here, which did it reject? It broke through and then rejected yesterday, so we weren't far off. Like I said, this is just an area and gives you ideas to find a trade. So if you watch it break through a level and you're trying to find an area, just wait for the trend to break on this one. If we go into the 2 minute, which will be that level over there. So what I do now is I draw a trend line, especially if it goes through my level like that. You can clearly see it still didn't even break the trend line when it came down. So we've got the first one, second trend, third trend, kind of bounce, and then it didn't have much follow through, a few topping tails. So I'll be watching this area for rejection. So that's how I'd find it. So I use my level just to give me an idea that we're coming into an area, and then we're looking for a rejection. So this is basically a lower high, and it's a bit of a wedge shape. So you could have put a break below that candle with a stop above that candle. Would have been, how about that for a lovely trade down there. But anyway, that's how I would have done it. Back to the hourly, and again, levels we're back down this area now, so potentially we may have missed this bounce, but we've definitely got 77.50 on still. So looking at gold next. And obviously don't forget FOMC, you don't want to be trading through those, so I probably wouldn't have even taken it. I can't remember where it was now, where FOMC was on that rejection yesterday. If we get back up to 23, 22, area confluence, quite like that for rejection. You can see tops of candles over here, bottoms of candles. So this area for rejection, just back up into there. Curving 200 moving average could meet up with that area, acting as further support. Plus also we've got this volume over here as well, so which could act as a bit of a resistance area. So if we get back up to there, watch out for rejection, or what I like the most, a break and retest of this area. And it's not a great pattern, but you could, no, I'm not even, I was going to say maybe a head and shoulders pattern, but I can't really see a neckline. It's not great. But we are in a downtrend. We've broken this wedge, this kind of, oh, let's draw a line like that, and broke down, and that was the retest yesterday of this trend line, and then we broke down again. So looking decent for shorts, I think this one at the moment. RTY, which is the Russell E-mini Russell 2000. See, this is holding its ground a bit more. Hasn't given back as much. And even when we came into FOMC, it came up into this area of resistance, came down, and we're kind of back up into that area. So I do quite like a rejection at yesterday's high at 20.33. Even better because it is top of FOMC, so we could still have orders sitting up there waiting to reject, which didn't get rejected. We also have a pivot, and we also have an area of confluence as well, and you can't see that, but just over here, another area, zoom in, another area, another pivot there. So that's a decent area to watch. I don't know why I didn't have that marked up, especially when we've seen the pivot from a few days ago. So 20.33 rejection, and then we can watch for a bounce, potentially where we bounced yesterday. Look at that, we came in, bounced exactly where we talked about, back up. It tested it a couple of times as well. Look at that inverse head and shoulders as well. So that was the entry, but too close to FOMC. That's it really. You can watch a bounce down here at 1961, but 1977 bounce and rejection at 20.33. Dow Jones, which is the YM. Let's draw a trend line. You can see this trend line. Let's duplicate it. Oh my! So it's control and drag. Maybe it's not It's not. I don't like that trend line lower one, but I like to clone them, see how they replicate below or above. So we've got this area we can watch for rejection at 38,400. Yesterday's high, so this is the area to watch, and it's a trend line as well. So touch it there, reject. Came back in an FMC, reject. So potentially it's happened before, it's happened again. And then we are putting in a bit of a downtrend, being in mid-trend, bit of a pullback, and we're still below the 200 moving average, and we just got above the 50. So I generally prefer if it's above the 50. I like to look for longs. If it's below 50, look for shorts. We're kind of in that no man's land area. So just, I think, watch for a break and retest of pre-market high with a target of this trend line, and then a break and retest of yesterday's high to break this trend, or rejection off of yesterday's high, that area. And I think that's it. And then bounce wise, we can watch this area here. Wrong button. I quite like 37,925 for a bounce. Okay, so let's look at Bitcoin lastly. Look at that, gave it all back. Talked about this yesterday, we were about here, and I said it looks like it's going to break down. On the daily I drew in the, are they still there? No, I drew in the, this pattern. I'm kind of sitting there, I think it was a bit higher, and I said if we were at full range, looking like we wanted to break out, couldn't, no follow through, back down to the full range, into the bottom half, and I like looking at bottom halves of these range. I know that line should be further up there, and then it kind of sold off as well, broke that pivot, and now we're looking for a break and retest of the structure, and to retest 50 is my place I want to start getting it back into Bitcoin, and then 40, these are the two areas I'm waiting for it to get back to. We're not far off 50, but it's definitely looking weak. Okay, that's it. ES again, just see if there's anything changed. Maybe had a bit of a sell-off since we started. Yeah, it's just going sideways. So kind of watching, this is a daily. You can see the break of this bear flag. And what we're looking for is for this hourly head and shoulders pattern to form, and then maybe use this trend line as a neckline to break down. But we've got the levels in place, so we're watching, just to recap, I'll draw them on as well. I'm watching for a rejection around this point of control area of confluence, so this entire area, so 5100, I'm sure I did that. So 5100 area, break and retest of the pre-market high, into that as a target, and then if we come back down for a bounce, I quite like the bounce of this trend line, which could be around 50.50. We recognise that number, we've spoken about it a few times, 50.38 area, but this entire area I quite like as well, so 50.20 up to 50.30, so 50.40, so it's a big area, and that's an area of demand. And that's it. Okay, thank you for watching. Up next is the order flow, which looks a bit like this, and that will, I use this a lot to work out where reversals, where you can find reversals, looking for big amount of absorption, big orders at my 60-minute levels, watching cumulative delta divergence as well. So if we see lots of buyers coming in when the price is selling off, this is a 2-minute candlestick at the top, and this is the cumulative delta at the bottom. So if we see a big sell-off and then we see cumulative delta increasing, that's a bit of a divergence, and you can see positive delta coming up on the order flow or the footprint chart as well. Then you can see there's a lot of buy and demand, so potentially we could see a reversal. But I'm only watching this when we get to reversal areas, so that'll be the areas which we've just highlighted on the main chart here, and the rest of the time I'm just watching and observing. Okay, so order flows up next. Okay, thank you for watching.